Among other inputs in education, teachers play a huge part. Recently, there's been emphasis on improving the incentives for teachers in developing countries. But there's a lot of speculation about whether teacher incentives actually work. In fact, it has also been suggested that these programs could actually lead to adverse outcomes for students, as teachers may try to just improve students from the perspective of exams and not really improve their learning. So does providing monetary incentive to teachers lead to better performance of students? And should the incentives be at an individual teacher level or should they be at a school level? Let's find out in this video. Hello friends, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Sagar. I've just completed my PhD in economics from Brown University, and in this video we will be talking about this paper by Muralidharan and Sundar Raman on understanding the impact of performance pay incentives for teachers on student outcomes. So what are teacher incentives? Teacher incentives are basically incentives for teachers based on the performance of their students in exams. So basically, if a student does well in the exam, then the teacher would be rewarded, and if there are teachers whose students are not doing so well in the exams, they would not get the extra incentive or the extra payment. So what is the challenge in answering the question of teacher incentives on student outcomes? The challenge, as in other empirical economic settings, is that you want to separate the effect of the program, in this case these incentives, from other effects basically. Let us suppose in this case that we have some schools which are implementing this teacher incentive program and there are other schools which are not implementing any such program. So one may think that in this case we can just compare the outcomes of students in the schools which have this program to the students of the schools which do not have any such program. But this is where it gets tricky. The schools which are implementing this program are likely to be very different from the schools which are not implementing any such program. Now this difference could go either way. It may be that the schools which are having this kind of incentive program do other things as well to promote the learning of their students, and this is just one part of their major program that they have for their students, in which case clearly they are very different and they may be doing better off regardless of this program. And then there's the second aspect to it, maybe that the schools which are implementing this program, the teachers do not put in their wholehearted effort, and that's why they have to come up with these incentives. So in this case, as you can see, the students of these schools are already at a disadvantage because teachers are not putting their wholehearted effort, and that's where you cannot just compare the schools which have these incentives to schools which do not have these incentives. Basically, you have to take into account the selection effect or the pre-existing differences, and why are there some schools which have this program while other schools do not. So how do the authors address this challenge and how do they solve this problem of the selection effect? Basically, they do this by randomly assigning some schools to the treatment group. That is, they randomly assign some schools to implement these teacher incentives while they assign other schools to the control group. That is, randomly some other schools are picked which would not have any of this program. And in this way, basically, this randomization takes care of the selection effect. That is, since the schools are selected at random, there are no pre-existing differences between the schools. So there should not be any pre-existing differences between the schools if randomization is done correctly. And in this case, there are also no hidden reasons why one school has this program and other school does not, because you are just assigning it yourself. So there is no hidden incentive or hidden reason why one school is doing it and other school is not. So what does the experiment and incentive look like in this case? In this case, the authors work with 300 schools. 100 schools are assigned to the individual arm of the incentive, that is, incentive is based at the individual teacher level. 100 schools are assigned to the group level incentive, where the incentive is based at the school level average, and then there are 100 schools which serve as the control group. So they do not have any such incentive program in their schools. Now let's see what the bonus and incentive look like in this case. The bonus or the incentive was based on the performance of students in test scores of language and mathematics. So they compared the performance of students as compared to last year, and if the students showed an increase greater than 5%, then an incentive or an extra 500 rupees was given to the corresponding teacher. And if the student gain was less than 5%, then no extra money was given to the corresponding teacher. And in this case also, the incentive was increasing in the percentage gain. So let's say that some students of a teacher showed a gain of 4%, they would get no extra payment at all because it does not pass the 5% threshold. But let's say that they get 6% additional gain, then they would get 500 rupees. But if they get like 7% gain, then they would get 2 multiplied by 500, that will be 1000 rupees. So basically this is based on the extra percentage gain. The group incentive was the same as individual teacher incentive, just that this was based on the school level average rather than the students taught by one particular teacher. And in this case, if the school level average was greater than last year by more than 5%, then all of the teachers would get this incentive. Now, why was this school level incentive done separately? The idea was that it was not clear which one of the two would dominate. It's possible that in the school level incentive, some teachers would have an incentive to free ride so that they don't have to work as hard because it's anyway based on the school level average. So other teachers, if they are working hard, these teachers could also be rewarded. But it could also go the other way. That is that the social and the peer pressure could play a part in that all the teachers are working together, they are putting pressure on each other to do well so that as a school, they could get the higher reward. So what do the authors find in this case? They find that these incentives did work in this case, or that the students which were being taught by teachers who had this kind of incentive performed much better as compared to students whose teachers did not have any such incentive, or the students in the control group schools. The test scores did go up for both language and mathematics, and while the individual and the group level incentive performed similarly in the first year, in the second year the individual teacher level incentive surpassed the results of the group level incentive, and the individual incentive was working much better as compared to the school level incentive. Now, while it's important to find these results, it's also important to check the validity of results and test the robustness of these results, and this is something that the authors tried to do in this case. So basically, one thing that you may think is that maybe these tests were designed internally and that's why you're getting this higher increase, but that was not the case. The tests were designed externally, so there is no internal school level bias that can arise in this case. One may also think that the teachers maybe put more energy in these two subjects and they might have actually ignored the other subjects. In this case, then you might think that, okay, this program is actually working for the subjects for which you're giving the incentive, but the student learning overall might be going down. But the authors test that this was also not the case. So for subjects for which there was no incentive, for example, social science and general science, the students also did better for the treatment schools. So basically the schools for which the teachers had this incentive. Now one may also wonder, what is it that is changing in these treatment schools? How is it that these students are doing better as compared to control schools? Now there could be two things. One is that teacher attendance could be changing. That is, now teachers are attending the school more regularly and they're able to teach students more regularly. Or it could be that attendance is not changing, but teachers are just putting in more effort. And since now they have this incentive, they're just putting in more effort so that they can get the extra money. And this is what the authors find in this case, that teacher attendance actually did not change, but it was just the teacher effort that was leading to these results. So yeah, we learned from this paper that teacher incentives can be a helpful tool, particularly in developing countries, in getting teachers to teach the students better and improve student learning. That's all from this video. Hope you find it helpful, and I'll see you in the next one.